Greetings, warriors, the meek and the prudish. Welcome to all of you across the fruited produce departments and those who linger in the shadows. My name is Jack Willard, and this is Homage to Rush, a tribute to the greatest of all times, Rush Limbaugh. My name is Jack Willard. I do not pretend to be Rush, just a fan for many, many decades. We hope he's having a good time walking the streets of gold, probably on WGOD. Because remember, Rush had talent on loan from God. This is our 7th episode in the Homage to Rush series. Please watch them all. Please subscribe, like, hit the notification bell, truth seekers. If you like what we do, please consider hitting the virtual tip jar for any amount, the thanks button right here in the video. Our title for this episode, Will Historians Tell the Truth About President Joseph R. Biden? It amazes me, you know. It amazes me that people are kind of careless when they consider that question. Will historians tell the truth about Joseph R. Biden? I couldn't find exactly who gave the quote, but someone said that the Biden administration will just be a blip between two Trump presidencies. What? Are you kidding me? Well, first of all, we have to ponder, who are these historians that are going to be writing history in the future? It's not going to be Douglas Brinkley. It's not going to be someone like Walter Cronkite. He's no longer with us. What is the age of these historians that are going to write the history of the years that we've been living in? What is their political affiliation? Could they slant the story? Could they totally change the story? We have to realize the historians that are likely to come are not in any way likely to be similar what we saw in the past. Those who have written history for decades and decades and decades. This could well be a new breed. They won't have devotion to the cause of accuracy. No, they will want to put a spin on things. They will want to change the narrative. So I'm quite surprised when nobody seems to be making note of that. Oh, I'm sure Victor Davis Hanson knows that. He will be joining us from his podcast, an excerpt from his new podcast. He'll be talking about Elon Musk. Elon is becoming a source of anxiety for the Democrats, and the progressives. I used to say that the Democrats were basically neutered. They had been spaded. They were no more. But then we had a red wave. A red wave. I can show it to you if you want. I see it back there. We had a red wave. Right there. We, the people, have spoken. We're not going to let the woke people destroy the United States of America. Sounds like a noble goal. A noble goal. People stood in long lines, early voting, as I did. In the 50 states, they didn't care how long it took. They were going to register their vote. And they got a lovely gift from Joseph R. Biden, who may have intended to give such gift or may just have made another foolish statement. He's made so many thousands of statements over the years, and so many as President of the United States. He inferred that the MAGA people were garbage. That'll motivate Grandpa to get out and vote. That'll do it. That'll motivate a whole new group of young people that we didn't expect, even women that voted for Donald Trump in a much larger number than we thought, not to mention black and Hispanic people. God bless every one of you. God bless every one of you who said we are not going to let America be destroyed because we don't like some of the things Donald Trump has said. We don't like his postings on Truth Social, or before that Twitter. Mean tweets. That's a reason to let somebody totally incompetent come into the office and further destroy America. Screw the grandchildren, right? Screw America. No, no, no. We don't want a king here. They buy into the lie that Donald Trump wants to be a dictator. Now, granted, when he starts talking about making Canada the 51st state, or buying Greenland, for example, or taking over the Panama Canal, it may sound that way. But overall, you'll easily be able to tell that your freedoms are returning and affordability is returning. You won't pay $7 for a carton of eggs, perhaps. Gas prices will be going down because, once again, we will be drilling. We won't be dependent on foreign nations. And when he talks about something like making Canada the 51st state, what he's saying is he's tired of subsidizing that country who allows fentanyl and illegal immigration to come into the United States and don't pay their bills. They don't pay their fair share. And when President Trump uses one of his favorite tools, tariffs, people freak out. They don't realize that his use in the past of threatening tariffs has brought people to the negotiating table because so many people don't do any kind of a deep dive. They have their policies, they have their opinions on Trump, they have their views, and they are, let's say, ill-informed. They didn't ponder these issues seriously. They didn't ponder the ramifications of a Harris-Walz presidency. God forbid. God forbid. So people stood in long lines. They stood in long lines to make sure that didn't happen. And it was just like a tremendous weight being lifted off America's shoulders. So when we say that the Biden presidency is going to be just a blip in history, well, it could be, because the people writing said history will not be of high moral character. They won't be unbiased. They will be spin doctors. The spin doctors is more than just a obscure one-hit wonder 80s group, you know? A blip? This man, even before he assumed the office, was welcoming people to crash our borders. And people came not just from Mexico, but from Venezuela, from Ecuador, from places all over. I think there's some truth that countries were letting their jails be freed of their prisoners, their worst prisoners, and gave them the instructions to head to America. So millions of people started to head towards the border. Biden made the reckless statement of, yes, come on in. Right there. He violated the oath of the presidency before he even assumed the office. And millions of people poured in, including hardcore criminals. They weren't all bad people. Some were just looking to get away from persecution. And we do have to have legal immigration. On the next edition of Homage to Rush, we will talk about responsible deportation, compassionate deportation, especially when we're talking about kids who were sent to America for a better life, leaving a nightmare behind in places like Juarez, Mexico, and other places where their lives were threatened on a daily basis. The parents paid money because they wanted their children to have a better life. And even Sean Hannity now is saying maybe we've got to have some kind of plan for these people. Christian first, if you are a person of faith. If you're not, you're welcome here. Christian trumps reckless deportation of very needy people who could face, in some cases, death if they were to return to their country. But don't get me wrong, I'm not getting soft. We have to deport a lot of people, just like President Barack Obama did. Deported a lot of people, because we have a process here, and you can't just waltz into America taking American jobs. Do we have a need for immigrants in the labor force here? Do we have a need for people to get visas, work visas, to come into this country? Yeah, we do. We do. But it has to be done orderly. Joseph R. Biden just broke open the borders. We've had murders. We've had incredible theft, street crime, all kinds of violence, and he is responsible for that. How could you call him a blip in history when he destroyed U.S. borders? What about what he did when he was senator and vice president? Oh, I never had any business dealings with my son Hunter and the people he associated with in the Ukraine and China. And this past weekend now, I'm recording this on the 30th of December. New Year's Eve is upon us in 2025, right around the corner now. Photos, a new batch of photos suddenly surfaced, and there is Joseph R. Biden, either as a vice president or a senator, not sure which, meeting those very people that were business partners with Hunter Biden, shaking their hands, smiling broadly at them. And guess who else is there with them? President Xi. What do you call that? When you take an oath and you allegedly peddle influence through your son, and both you, your son, and many others in the Biden family, some say the Biden crime family, benefit from that financially. All of a sudden, Amtrak Joe, middle class Joe from Scranton, or is it Delaware, has 2 multi-million-dollar beach houses. I won't pardon my son. I won't pardon my son. It was a stupid thing to say. We all knew he was going to pardon his son. And the pardon that the president is given, the power of the pardon is absolute. And believe me, you want it to stay that way in a world of progressives having influence, because they're not going to give up. They're not going to give up. So you want that power to stay. So he pardoned his son. Maybe here in the remaining days of 2026, 2024, excuse me. Who knows what things will be like in 2026, but there's a good chance now we will be on a much better course. Will President Biden pardon himself, his brother, and others before he leaves office? Well, if you're watching this in 2025, you already know the answer to that question. I have a feeling yes, but I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure. He is pardoned or commuted the sentences of thousands of people, more than 8,000, and he's not done yet. He's not done yet. Guy goes into a South Carolina bank. There's 2 tellers there. They're going to be willing to do whatever he wants. He doesn't say a thing to them. He just shoots them dead right there in the South Carolina bank. Now, they give him the death penalty, and a priority for Joseph R. Biden is to commute the sentence to life. To life. I have to be honest here and say that I have never been a big proponent of the death penalty. Life in prison is no sweet deal. But then again, I'm not a prison guard who has to deal with a murderer, a vicious murderer like that every day. So there is that. So I'm sort of in between. I always used to say, let God decide whether they live or die, and God will give them their final judgment. And also that if they repent, if they ask forgiveness and repent of their sins, the Bible says God will be faithful and just to forgive them of their sins and cleanse them from all unrighteousness. And since that applies to you and me, and we've done our own share of horrible things, we may not have gone into a bank in South Carolina and killed 2 young women who would have given them the money gladly, just wanted them to leave. No, we didn't do that. But we are capable of just about anything. And we have all done bad things and had to go to God for forgiveness. And we're required to forgive. So I've had to keep reminding myself that I can't hold animosity, iniquity in my heart for Joseph Biden, Kamala Harris, the progressives in the Senate and in the Congress. But we can stand against evil. We can stand against evil. It really surprises me when old Democrats don't know who Joseph R. Biden is. Take this Congressman Lloyd Doggett. He's 78 years old and he's in Texas. Why did they elect him in Texas? Shows we have some purple areas, but he's probably been in Congress for a very long time. And he wishes he had called on President Biden to step aside earlier. He waited to the disastrous presidential debate. Yes, all was revealed there. And President Trump held back. He could have really wiped the floor with him and made him look small. But I think Trump made the right call in that our enemies are watching this. Let's not totally destroy the competency of the president for all the world to see, even though it was so evident. It was so evident. He restrained himself, and I thought that was good of President Trump to do that. Congressman Doggett says history will record Biden had many, many good accomplishments. And what are they? What are they? To weaponize the Justice Department to try to eliminate your opponent? So we've got potential influence peddling. We've got destroying the borders. We've got destroying the economy. And we've got welcoming in a brood of vipers called the progressives to run things for you. We've got a press secretary who has to go out there and BS the press every day, and many of the press put up with it. Thank God for people like Peter Doocy. And we're going to say that it was just a blip. No, it's been 4 years of disaster. He has been the worst president, certainly in my lifetime. Worst president the country ever had in modern times. I wouldn't say that about President Obama. Our 39th president, Jimmy Carter, passed away over the weekend as I record this. He made it to 100 years, defied all the predictions, including from his own family, his own grandson. And there's no doubt that despite policies I would disagree with, and even interpretations of religious faith, of Christianity, that I would disagree with, he was a very good, decent man who really cared about people. He had some success. And as President Trump has said, now they will no longer refer to Jimmy Carter as the worst president of modern times. That will go to the 39th president. Jill Biden was more than happy to push him on to America, to push him into running and then pretend he wasn't in serious cognitive decline. And there were voters, or people who at least said they were going to vote, who identified as progressives and what have you, that were more than happy to re-elect a zombie who obviously was not up to the job. He, of course, had issues with his own classified documents, didn't he? As a senator and as a vice president, leaving some in an open garage as he took the Corvette out for a spin. And what is he doing in the last days besides commuting the sentences and many pardons? Well, he's doing everything he can, he and his progressive friends, to block the efforts that they know President Trump is going to try to enact. We have governors and mayors that say they are going to harbor fugitives. They are going to try to stop Tom Holman from doing his job. That's a crime. Why shouldn't the governor of Chicago or the governor of California or their mayors in their big cities be held in contempt if they violate the law like that? Finally, in California, they're getting rid of that awful DA that just let crime run rampant, destroyed another one who didn't keep his oath of office to protect the people. No, he was a best friend to the criminals. You can steal up to $950 from the ma and pa shop. And as long as you don't go to 1,000, you're okay. And even if you do, you'll probably get away. You know, we're not showing up anytime soon. How often did you see police rushing in to stop it? They knew it was pointless. They knew while they were doing the paperwork, the person they arrested would be walking out of the police headquarters. So we've gone crazy. Now they have this a law in California that if you steal a certain amount from a store, it's a felony. You'll be prosecuted for a felony. They can't believe it. They're in handcuffs in a van, and it's serious this time. So here on Homage to Rush, what we try to do is cover important issues of this time. When I do our live stream Saturday nights and sometimes Wednesday or Thursday evening at 10 p.m. East Coast time, when I do worldwide ramblings, we talk to people from all over the country and from Australia. We seem to do quite well in Australia and in the UK, Cape Town, South Africa, Canada, soon to become our 51st state with Governor Trudeau. No, we don't want him. We want somebody better. Let's get Wayne Gretzky in there. Governor Wayne Gretzky. We try to confine the politics to here for the most part, although sometimes there's, a hot button issue of the day I just have to refer to. I call it 3 minutes of politics if I'm going to do that and try to stick to that. And we kind of put it, into the middle of the show. But people are there to have a good time, and they enjoy talking about pop culture and enjoy visiting with each other, and that's fine. But here, this is a political show. This is a political show, and thus it's going to be far more difficult for me, since there's so many voices out there, to garnish an audience. For the Rush Limbaugh audience, for example, to even know that I'm doing this, because they won't get a notification, like those who like the topic of Elvis Presley that I do, and the pastor from Benton, Arkansas, Bob Joyce. That's my fan base, if you will. Imagine that at my old age of 68. But this is important too, because every force in hell is going to try to stop President Trump, but they already did that. Oh, an acquaintance of mine, a fellow co-worker for many years, I said to him, there's no way you can convince me. I worked with you for 19 years. There's no way you can convince me that you support Kamala Harris for president. I didn't talk about, that she's more shallow than a kiddie pool. No. He says, well, I think it's a wife issue. Happy wife, happy life. I'm not going to vote for someone convicted of 32 felonies. Dig deeper. The Justice Department was weaponized. A bookkeeping error involving the Stormy Daniels thing. The accountant put something in the wrong column, and D.A. Bragg and other creative souls turned that into 32 felonies. The statute of limitations had expired on what was clearly a misdemeanor. This was utter BS. But it's a saying that he's heard, and so he goes with it. He goes with it, not realizing that the future of our country, you have grandchildren, well, the future for them depends on us not letting ourselves be overwhelmed by progressives. Maybe, just maybe, in 2028, we will be able to keep the Make America Great Again movement alive, because we will have, in many ways, made America great. Trump gets things done. I don't always agree with him. I wish he wouldn't say some of the things that he says. There'd be a better way to say them. Don't get caught up in the small stuff, because there's so much big stuff to do. I think he will be very focused. You will see a lot of things happening. And with all the pardons and commuting of sentences to hardcore murderers that Joseph R. Biden does, they have no right to talk about the fact that President Trump plans to pardon the nonviolent insurrectionists, because, for one thing, it wasn't an insurrection. Anyone who committed violence against a cop, that's a different thing. No cop died there. One cop died at home, but he had health issues for a long time. Ashley Babbitt, a veteran who stuck her head into the window, hadn't even climbed in, was supposedly trying to stop people from going in, was shot in the head by a cop who has never, White House personnel that has never been held accountable for that act. And that is preposterous. Preposterous. The word for the day is preposterous, my friends. So, please subscribe. Those of you that like what we do here are going to be in the minority unless we can build this audience like I built Worldwide Ramblings and talking about Elvis and the man who looks like him in Benton, Arkansas, and sounds like him. So I really need you. You're a different part of the audience. Most of my audience are not going to watch this. If I have 9,600 subscribers right now, moderately successful, most of them are not going to watch it. It's going to be a fraction, as it was, trying to get to 200 instead of 128,000 like I have on one of my Elvis videos. So I really need you to stand with me. Because I use the Rush Limbaugh theme, My City Is Gone by the Pretenders, I just feel that I have to do it. It so adds to the spirit of this Homage to Rush series. Rush Limbaugh was a one-of-a-kind radio personality who rose very quickly, and I was able to witness it because living in New York, I would listen to WABC. And as I've said before, I listened to Rush when he was just local from 10 a.m. to noon, although on a big station, and then syndicated from noon to 2, and eventually he left the local and went syndicated on hundreds and hundreds of radio stations from noon to 3 p.m., becoming the most successful talk man. Conservative talk. That's the only thing that's ever worked. As I've said before, Alan Colmes, who was great, he was a fine, decent, humorous, gifted, knowledgeable liberal, not a progressive. He had success, and it was a pleasure to listen to him, and I miss Alan Colmes very much. But other than that, people like Al Franken and other liberals just fell on their face. It didn't work out for them, even though they are still doing their podcast and what have you. They're doing it, and so is everybody else. So we're just another voice, so I need your support. I need you to subscribe, hit the like button, share this video, please, if you can, if you dare. And you'll see a thanks button there as well, any amount you can give, because I'm not going to be able to make any money on monetization when I'm using a copyrighted song by the Pretenders. But there is you. There is you. Another way to give a tip is through my Cash App. Do you have Cash App? My handle is lowercase letters, Media Guy 56. Media Guy 56. I thank you so much for watching the 7th edition of Homage to Rush. Will historians tell the truth about Joseph R. Biden? Talk to you next time.